Good morning. Great to see you. We thought you would get tired of Mary and me by now. So glad that you're here. Thank you so much for an exciting week. We talk to community colleges every day, and everyone is so different. And that's because of you and the talents that you bring. And so we really appreciated your honesty and your openness about issues that are facing you every day. And we just came from a great session with your leaders, and most of them are in the room, and they were really excited to hear your feedback. Well, in some cases, not so excited, but they're very open to listening. And they're here with you today, and we're going to share with you the scan results. And then yesterday, we had pretty intensive focus groups with you during the day, and we kind of blended your thoughts together into 5 themes. So Mary and I are going to share those results with you today, and then also we have built in some recommendations and what the next steps will look like. Sound good to you guys? Hey, hey. And do we have people online today? No. Okay.
We're recording.
Okay, great. Hey, folks. All right, so Mary's going to start in with summarizing the first day scans.
Oh. Need to progress these. Okay, so we had good participation with our scan sessions that we did the first day with both our faculty senate and staff senate representatives. We used a process where individuals had an opportunity to share your thoughts and ideas and perspectives on 20 questions, and then there was a vetting process where collectively the groups then went through a series of voting to prioritize the issues and opportunities that are most important to you. And here's what surfaced from those scan sessions. The Faculty Senate group, the top issues and opportunities that came up for addressing were, number 1, salary. Number 2, timely hiring processes, particularly for adjuncts. Number 3, having real and meaningful involvement in decision-making, particularly for decision-making processes that impact students and faculty. Number 4, HR onboarding and training on administrative processes and structures. And number 5, improvements to your website. Similarly, on the staff results, salary surfaced as the top issue. Also, right behind that, career ladder. The third issue was to improve signage on campus, and including bilingual signage. Fourth, to improve things for your student population, to offer a family night and more student events. The fifth issue that surfaced was to bring more employees to work on campus. And then right behind that, in terms of voting, there was a tie in 6th place for more training and communication across departments and schools, and having someone at the front door to answer phones, emails, questions, and provide directions. So then we moved into day 2, as Diane shared, and gathered much more deeper input from all of the work teams.
So in this process, we took the findings from the first day, and we went and sat with you and individual groups to try and get a little bit more detail and a little more color commentary on why those issues bubbled forward. And what we found, as Mary and I worked with all the content we gathered, that things came into 5 core themes. The first one is employee relations. The second is internal communication. Third is clarity in roles and responsibilities. Number 4, student experience. And then 5 is frictionless service for students and for staff. And by the way, you're all going to get a copy of this. You're welcome to take notes, but we're going to copy. So Mary, do you want to go through the employee relations one, and then we'll just...
Okay, here's what we heard related to employee relations. Concerns about salary not being competitive, a lot of struggles with internal or inadequate staffing, a need for a career ladder, a need for onboarding and staff training on administrative processes, a lack of formal upward feedback processes that seem to be desired, and issues and trouble with undocumented and inconsistent hiring processes, a desire for more staff to be on campus and to have a remote work policy, and an up-to-date staff directory so people knew, had some clarity on roles and changes in positions and statuses.
So I hope some of these things are sounding familiar because they came directly from you. We're just kind of putting them into themes. So, internal communications. I'm keeping the loop of relevant activity, in the loop of relevant activities. The whole communication theme is you want to know what's happening and you want to be kind of kept in the loop, but there's so many different sources, and so really just trying to create standard practices of where to get communications and how to get the information you want to need. Too much fluff and not enough hard news in your weekly newsletter. Looking for some more specific information in that. Ineffective cascading of inter and interdepartmental information. So some of you in the room might be getting information, but that information needs to continue to cascade to people that might be working in your department, and creating a formal channel to make sure that that happens. So if a big meeting is happening and someone from your area goes to that meeting, is how do you cascade that information into the rest of your work unit? Also establish practice and protocols for college preferred communications, emails, Teams. We heard from you that, the email is the official way to communicate in the college, but a lot of communications now is happening behind the scenes in Teams, and people might be getting messages in there that they don't even know they're getting. So really establishing set protocols and making sure everybody knows the best way to communicate with people. I think we might have another internal communication slide. Timely and appropriate responsiveness for answering phones and emails. Got a lot of feedback that said, I might call and I might not hear from someone. And they might call and try and reach out to someone else. And then that other person might not know that you responded. So we create this extra work because our response mechanisms may not be happening on time. Also, more live meetings to build a sense of community. All of you are here because you value this community, and you're asking for more opportunities to kind of connect as a group and to kind of share more. Assessment of meeting structure, composition, and expectations of civility. It's kind of creating that camaraderie around the campus community. And also, there's a lot of really good work that's being done, but not everybody knows about it. So how do we take that information and put it out in a place where you can go in and check and look at what is that Strategic Enrollment Management Committee doing anyway? What's their charge? Who's on the committee? And what if I want to join that committee? So making more of the committee processes more transparent, and so more of the staff and faculty can see that and understand where they might want to step in and participate. Effective protocols for committee action and transparency. Set up structure for, like, for example, every committee that would have a charter. And I'm not talking a big charter, I'm talking like a one-page charter. Who's on the team? Who's the executive sponsor? What are the goals and what are your milestones and what are your outcomes? That is the kind of thing that would be shared where you can all go look and see who's on that committee, What are they working to accomplish, and what milestones have they reached? So it's building in some committee accountability and some transparency. Also, last year, build a better events calendar. A lot of things happen on campus. There's a lot of high school students here. It'd be really kind of nice to know when they're on campus, when there are events going on, and really building that and making that a tool. So if you run into someone in the hall, you have a source to say, oh, okay, that's a group that's here on campus today. But really using that to help further facilitate your knowledge of what's happening around campus.
Okay. Another key bucket here is finding more clarity in roles and responsibilities. It was very clear that faculty are desiring input on issues that affect students and faculty, and feeling and being consulted on those critical issues. That includes having real and meaningful involvement in decision making, looking for ways to feel that you're getting timely response to your input and having your input validated. Follow up and closing the loop on initiatives in progress. It ties into a little bit of what Diane was sharing earlier. But having regular sharing of work that's in progress and decisions that are being made, and the milestones that are being achieved, so you can feel that you are well informed and in the know on the important work that's taking place across the college. Clarifying roles and responsibilities in delivering program marketing and recruitment, and in connecting with employers and the community for building program promotions, and also in securing external funding sources to help with those program promotions. Anything you want to share on that, Diane?
Okay, the next bucket is the student experience. First of all, lack of front door greeter to provide directions and answer inquiries. Website and portal improvements, so that students, the website experience, is it in the registration process, or is it in too many click-throughs and other things? Also, streamlined student onboarding process. Like, for example, there's a 3-day wait for them to get their A number or their student ID. There's a lot of research out there that shows that any student that gets sent away and doesn't get to do what they need to do, 20% of them won't return. So that is a big factor that comes into play when you're converting applicants to first day of school. Also, it would be helpful to have a more complete onboarding checklist. Also, the Google Translation may not be as accurate as it could be, so there was some talk about having better translation tools. Also, poor campus signage and the need for bilingual signage. Also, student transportation issues and student child care issues. Those all came up as student issues.
And related, frictionless service issues for both faculty and staff and your students. It was really clear that some work needs to be done to simplify what are cumbersome processes, not just for students, but also processes that are impacting faculty and staff and your ability to serve students. More staff to work on campus so that they are present for supporting students who have returned to campus. Providing faculty and staff training on workday, accounting, HR, and budget processes. People need the training so that they can do the work they need to do. Improving access, looking at how to provide single sign-on and ensure that adjuncts can connect to the resources and communications that the college provides. There's a challenge with what we saw as 4 data silos. You have your My SFCC, your college website, your non-credit website, and then the Chess Consortium website. And then we've heard there are also others. So there's a lot of there are a lot of places where information is housed and you're expected to find things, but it's not clear where where to find those things and what the authoritative source is on that. And that's the last bullet there. There's a lot of redundancy and repetition and not really having any clarity on where the correct source of information is or where something that has been updated is versus something that might be an old version of it. So that needs to be addressed.
So that's what we heard. Does that make sense? Do those 5 core themes match what you heard you and your teammates talk about this week? Does that seem to match up? Okay. So here are some observations that Mary and I are going to share with you. And, we debated on whether or not we should share this or not, but then we thought, heck, why not? We deal with community colleges every day, and so we just wanted to give this perspective. So, observations worth noting. There wasn't a lot of discussion about enrollment, and in most colleges, enrollment, they're on fire. And so when Mary and I get on a call, they're frantic about enrollments. So we were kind of surprised not to hear a lot about that. Also, there wasn't a lot of data. So you gave us a lot of feedback, but think about, as you move forward, how you can implement evidence so that you have a stronger footing. We believe, by the way, we believe everything you told us, but evidence will really help you convince and to move forward on other steps. There wasn't a lot of organic discussion about students. So really, and I know this was about you, but sometimes the student conversation pops up a little bit more. We heard a lot about the past. And, you're a mature organization with a big, deep, rich history. But there's an old culture here that was real clear. And so we just are going to just be open and honest and say that we saw it and we felt it. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's there. And also right now, especially after COVID, this is an important issue because there's so much change. We heard it in one of the meetings yesterday about the need for change and the need for people to be more open to change. And that sometimes we have to let go of some of that stuff from the past. So that is something to think about as we move forward. We're stepping into new territory where the old rules don't always come into play. Also, we heard the word gaslighting a lot. And also there was a fear of reprisal. So I just want to be honest with some of those feelings, and that was what this was all about, is being honest. And being transparent about, because sometimes you just have to get this stuff out on the table and own it and share it and understand, because your leaders aren't going to be able to work through this with you unless they know the real emotion and feelings that you have about issues. So we shared it. So we feel that's our commitment to you. Go ahead. And this is the part that you've been waiting for, right? Is what are we going to do with all this feedback? And you've been asking us all week. So here are our recommendations, and then we're going to have a plan for next steps on how this is all going to map out. And I'm going to let Mary take the first bucket.
Okay. In the employee relations area, conducting a salary and compensation study will be important, and looking at those career ladders as part of it. Identifying your critical position openings so that those that are the most critical are moved forward more quickly with some incentives that can help fill them. We heard this loud and clear, so it's going to be really important to formalize your faculty and staff onboarding and provide appropriate training. Not just at onboarding, but looking at opportunities to continue to refresh training for staff so that you can stay on top of new developments, new procedures, new processes, and everyone can feel comfortable getting their work done and not having it be so challenging to get it done. Establishing a remote work policy. So everyone's on the same page. There's no concerns over things not being equitable, and everybody is very clear on what the expectation is for their particular role at the college. Committing to updating and maintaining your staff directory. Everyone should know who's on first, who they can contact. If someone has gone, who's in their place. You shouldn't have to waste time seeking people out or wondering if why they haven't responded to you if they're no longer here. The other thing that's important about that is being able to just create some connections with people and knowing who you can build those relationships with to help you do your work. Strengthening and empowering the middle management group. Diane, do you want to say a little bit more about this one?
Yeah, I think large, complex organizations, the core of getting things done is that strong middle section, the middle managers, because they're managing up and they're managing down. And they're the group that are really getting things done. And that empowerment that strengthens that middle core can help you work through these issues on a more rapid basis. Because if you're working with a top-down structure, that always isn't effective. So really empowering folks to run committees, to bring their ideas, you're bringing the content experts, the people that really know, and really strengthening that group. And that will start, that's where your culture change really begins to happen. When you're empowering people to do their best work and to move things forward. So training on strengthening that leadership group that's really critical to the day-to-day operations.
And that'll feed right into this last bullet here in terms of just shifting your culture forward. We talked in that the prior slide about that holding on to the past kind of mentality, but doing some of these things that we're recommending will help you move from this what we call a who's at fault mentality to how are we going to fix it? Let's work together. Let's get it done. Let's be problem solvers and really reset our thinking so that we are embracing Santa Fe Community College as this evolving organization where everyone is valued and everyone's contributing to solutions.
And everyone feels safe. You know, we don't want anybody this week that came into this meeting and shared information to feel any reason or any fear of sharing information, because until we start sharing those things and put them on the table and honestly deal with them, we can't move forward. Okay, internal communications, and again, these are recommendations on actions that you can take based on our feedback. Assess current content delivery and timing of internal communications. Conduct actually a survey that you can actually respond and say, here's what I want to hear from you, here's when I want to hear it, and here's the form I want it. So we make sure there's a lot of really cool communications that are going out and being pushed out, but is it going to you at the right time in the right place? So kind of do some kind of assessment that way. Adopt a RACI model for college-wide accountability structure. I understand you're using this with the CHESS program. And we use this in a lot of our colleges where it really, when committees get together, who's responsible and who's actually accountable for getting the work done, who needs to be consulted, and who needs to be informed. And making that clear up front. And then when you go and look at those charters, in some place, you can say, okay, faculty needs to be accountable here. Here's where they're consulted. Here's where staff needs to be informed. It's very clear about where the roles are. And that really helps, because there's a lot of confusion with roles. So we think that would really help. Establish committee protocols for transparent posting and sharing of charters and milestones. Again, put your meeting stuff out there. Here's what that group is accountable for, and here's the milestones that they've achieved. Determine official process and expectation for inter and interdepartmental responsiveness for sharing information. So there's a lot of lag of getting back. You know, you might make a call to another department and really kind of establish a protocol for getting back to other team members. Also plan a staged and development for improvements for the employee portal. There's a lot of IT work going on. So really mapping it out. You have these new student system things coming in 2027. What is being mapped out? Because we need some of this stuff now. Are there things that can happen now to help you before 2027? Because there's a lot of communication gaps between all these different places of information being stored. Let's see, and finally, improve student and employee event calendar. It's just really making it clear what's going on around the campus.
Okay, for improving clarity in roles and responsibilities, we're recommending that a President's Advisory Group be pulled together to help and have a broad-based representation and work with Becky, and this would be something where people would be part of this for a one-year term. The next thing is that it would be helpful for the college to undergo a program life cycle review so that you can really look at where programs are in the life cycle and what needs to be done to get programs into the most marketable place for promotions. Diane, did you want to say anything more about that? Okay. We recommend that our senior leaders get out and about and have some informal time to meet with all of the faculty and staff. It's really important just to create a sense of community in this post-COVID world, finding opportunities and making time to just have some moments to have conversations that aren't always the formal ones in meetings. And it's going to be helpful to look at the role of the faculty and making sure that the holistic impact of the faculty is promoted in terms of impact on student recruitment, retention, career and workforce placement, along with that vital teaching role.
Okay, student experience. Put someone to the front door. That's our recommendation. You guys came up with it. We support it wholeheartedly. Conduct a website usability navigation study. Just have a group of students and have them go through a navigation. How many clicks does it take? How difficult is it for them to find information? Is the 24/7 knowledge base give them some real information? So just really check in with their web experience. Plan for staged and transparent development of improvements on the student portal so people kind of know what's coming and what to expect, and then to start building materials that will supplement that. Develop a persona-based student onboarding checklist. We all know that a dual-enrolled student has a different checklist process than an adult non-traditional student, and also a different checklist for traditional students. So having separate checklists for those personas will help improve the experience of that student coming in. Adopt better translation methods. Again, that was your recommendation. Conduct a wayfinding study, which we found that you're already in the process of doing that. And then tap into Santa Fe's huge professional population to create a mentor society for your students that involves those local residents that are taking advantage of all those enrichment courses here. Let's put them to work and have them give back and really help mentor and bring our new students along.
And the last category of recommendations is in the area of frictionless service and delivering that frictionless service. Some recommendations here are that the college undergo an onboarding process review have some secret shopping take place to see what the students experience as they are trying to enter the college and enroll here. Related to that, finding out why students who apply but don't ever end up enrolling in classes, and why students stop out. Getting their direct input on the reasons for their disappearance or for them not showing up, so that you can actually act on that and make it a better experience and possibly bring those back that did fail to attend or return. You all are already going to be doing this. Todd and Laura and their team are working with us to participate in the media prep survey that Interact conducts each fall. So it's going to be great that you're going to have that data directly from your students on their preferences for communications. And we'll be sharing that data once those results come in the fall. It would be helpful to conduct some frictionless service training. So everyone who is touching and impacting the experience of students is doing so in a way that is really making them feel welcome and making them feel encouraged and building their confidence so that they want to be here and want to continue forward and reaching their goals. And finally, addressing what we call the data silos, just in having all those different areas where things can be found, but you're not sure where to look for them and what's actually current and up-to-date information, because it's causing friction for faculty and staff as well as students, and not knowing where to go for things and having that authoritative source for your data and information. And Diane, I think we're coming to a close here.
So those were a lot of recommendations. We got a lot of good feedback. And we have a lot of recommendations, and we know you can't do all of them. So here is what we recommend, and this was endorsed by your leaders, to review input and align with strategic goals. So now you have to do is take all those buckets and look at the work you're already doing. You don't want to just start out and start over with all of this, because you've done a lot of good work on a lot of these areas. So pick things out that go into some of your existing committee work, and if there are gaps, then you create new committees. Identify any quick wins, and then map out those longer-term initiatives. You can't do it all, but there are some quick wins here, and there are some things that can happen right now that might be able to make your life a little bit easier. We really think this, and again, this was endorsed by your senior leaders this morning, is to create a special task force with you where you actually pick through these and do those things, align them with your strategic goals, look at some quick win opportunities. We're bringing the content experts into the decision-making role here. And you're going to map out in these 5 buckets what your recommendations would be, and you're going to go and to meet with the senior leaders and saying, here's our recommendations because of this and for these reasons, and here's the evidence, and here's what we think the outcome will be. And then establish responsibility and timeline for this task force. This task force would be a short-term group. We might say 90 days, you're going to work on this and you're going to map it out. And all those recommendations, here's the ones that we're going to tap now, here's the ones that we're going to do later. And one of the things that we find, if you get those big issues, sometimes if you tackle them, a lot of those things underneath go away. So that's why it's really important to pick those critical ones to start with, and then some of those smaller issues flow away.
And spread the wealth. That's why we have this last one about, task force work teams. It'll be important to look at, you want to pull some different voices to the table, people who have expertise in different areas to kind of tackle individual initiatives and give them that, empower them to do the work that's needed to really shape something and move it forward and bring it back to that larger task force, so that more people are involved and you have the right people at the table to help get things done.
And we want you to feel like you're part of the solution and part of solving these big problems, because until that happens, we really can't solve the problems that are ahead of us, because we need every one of you in the room to help us work on those things. So, what do you think? Is this, yes, Jerry.
Thanks, Laura. I have a question, if this is a good time. You mentioned having more data to support things that we say, and certainly in the focus group yesterday, my fellow faculty members and I had a lot to say and no data. But I'm not really clear on what kind of data we could have had.
Well, like for example, for the student experience, you know, how many students are getting in and where are they having problems? We don't really know. We just know that there's struggles. Also, more specific data on where you're having challenge with the work that you do. Like, I have to take 10 clicks to get to this form to fill that out. And also, I think, I'm glad you brought this up, Jerry, because just because we were asking for your feedback, we weren't asking for evidence, so I don't want that to be a critical point here. But thinking about going forward, evidence does strengthen your position. And really, when you approach your work as it being evidence-based, you're going to have a lot better opportunity of convincing the people around you it's the right move. So it's just building data into how you look at it. And as you go into these committee, when you get to your committee work, your milestones really have to be steeped in data and have to have a specific outcome. So I gave you a little vagueness and I gave you a little specificness. How's that, Jerry? Can you live with that? Okay.
So we have a lot of new faces, and for those who don't know, that came from Jerry Friedman. He is vice chair of the Faculty Senate and also teaches physics and math. Thank you, Jerry.
Laura. Okay, who else? Let's hear.
Hi, I'm Laura Smith. I'm one of the librarians here. I'm also Secretary of Staff Senate. I just wanted to share an experience that I had yesterday that kind of aligns with one of the things that did not bubble to the top in our staff session but was mentioned, and that was be nicer to students. Yesterday, I was out and about, and there are a lot of new students on campus. They're getting ready to start our new semester, and I saw a young woman standing at the end of a hallway looking at one of our not-so-great directional signage, and she was clearly, very obviously lost, and I watched several staff members walk right by her. And these are not staff members who are specifically tasked with serving students, but, I mean, I'm from Kansas, I'm from the Midwest, so you walk by someone lost in any situation, you're going to offer to help. So let's remember that in the next couple of weeks as we're starting this new semester. We have a lot of new students on campus. These are students who are intimidated by the college experience. Our signage is not great, so they get lost a lot. So let's be nicer to students when we see them struggling. Those are like friction points that we can solve really easily. Like, talk about a quick win, right? Like, just let's be a little bit nicer to our new students. Thank you.
And you know, everybody keeps talking about where do the males go? And why aren't male students coming? They have a lot less tolerance for friction. And a lot of times they get stuck in our onboarding processes. And some of the best practices show the more electronic, 24/7 help systems, they can ask questions in a non-threatening way. Because they're afraid that if they ask a question, it proves that they're not college material. So we are reinforcing their own stereotypes and their own feelings, their own fears about themselves. So this creating a sense of belonging is so critical, especially with these new students coming in that are just really loaded down with mental health issues, extreme challenges, and they have more problems than they've ever had. And our systems have to figure out a way to wrap our arms around them and create a sense of belonging. And one experience can make the difference for that student. And that experience can happen in the cashier's office, financial aid, a custodian out in the parking lot, someone in the cafeteria. We all have very powerful roles in making students feel welcome. So thank you for that comment.
Hello, everyone. Carlos Valladares, lead faculty here for Human Services. So one thing that I wanted to mention in the group, I think I've been here about 15 years, and some of you have been here longer as well and starting. But I think one thing, the foundation, in my opinion, is not just from the perspective of students, but also building a foundation as an institution to build team again. And I think everything that we're talking about here is valid, it's important, but I think the foundation is how do we bring team? I don't have the solution right now to tell you that, but I think as an institution, it's great that we're building team within certain departments, that's positive, but I think the big picture, can we build team again as a whole institution? Those are my 2 cents.
Carlos, thank you. There is no denying the disruption that COVID brought to our college communities. It turned everything upside down, and our sense of team that we had before that has been disintegrated. So we do have to build that up. And your feelings and your experiences that you have right now is kind of an aftermath of all this disruption. And it's what we do with this disruption and how we move forward that's going to make the big difference. So thanks for that comment, Carlos. I think that makes really, really big sense. Well, it's a good thing you weren't this quiet 2 days ago. Come on, let's hear. We have a hand over here.
She's going to stand and introduce herself.
Julia Furry, Director of Automotive Technologies. A lot of you know that I came from the outside. Academics was not my original career path. I take what I learned in the business world and I bring it into my program. Y'all know we're busting at the seams again this fall. I would recommend that as we work forward with our internal changes, we need to have customer service skills taught amongst everybody. And we have all had those frustrating moments. And I always learned this way back from General Motors. If I can't teach or treat my co-partner with respect and consideration, how is that translating to my customer, and our customers, our students? So I think we all need to take a step back, self-identifying with what we have been doing wrong and what we need to do to fix it. And I think if we do that, then we can create our community again.
Amen. I can't top that. That's good. Thank you. Other thoughts? Yeah.
My name's Monique. I work in the testing center, and I was on a task force for new student onboarding, which I think led to the new student orientation, and I feel like this was a very successful season for new students. I worked at Capitol High for several years, and I worked in special ed, so I had students who were not on the college pathway, and I saw many of them, at least 5 or 6, during new student orientation. And yesterday, one of them told me they signed up the night before because they saw the new student orientation posting. So I really like the idea of task force. We used from a lot of different departments that all came together to see the different perspectives of new students, and I think moving forward, that's a really good recommendation. And it helps us build like community and teamwork and many departments working together. So that's all.
Great. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tony Kaufman. I'm the medical assisting instructor here on campus. I just like to say that I would really like to invite all faculty to start coming to Faculty Senate. It's really sad to see how many people show up to Faculty Senate. Nobody participates anymore. You're right about COVID. Ever since COVID, nobody comes to anything anymore. When we have an event on campus, hardly anybody shows up. It's really sad to see. When we had the diversity day, when was it? The what?
No, it was a good day. I enjoyed that.
Well, nobody showed up for it. We had hamburgers and all that. It was, how many people showed up? Maybe 20, 30? It was a sad fact. Hardly anybody came. And we just need to have more participation on campus and more people show up for things. It's really sad. And I hope that more faculty members show up for Faculty Senate.
So Tony, I would encourage you to seek input then from your faculty and find out why aren't they coming, and maybe ask them what would make them come. So maybe open it up to those that maybe create a faculty survey or something.
Well, we can do that. We send out invitations, you know, every week. Well, every week that we have it, and ask them to please come, and that, you know, we're talking about important issues and that kind of thing, but we don't seem to have participation. But certainly we can send out a survey asking them why they're not coming.
Entice them back.
Yes.
Give them what they want.
Yes.
Hey.
Did you have a
You know, I think this is going to be a challenge that we're going to have to deal with, because there's a part of our community that is not always going to be here. And figuring out how to connect with people that some are going to be here in person and some are going to be far away. Mary and I work in a remote environment, and our corporate headquarters maybe has about 3 or 4 people. And the rest of the people are spread across the U.S. And we have found that people love the remote environment, but they're missing a sense of community. So you can't have, it's hard to have both. And organizations are really struggling with this, how to create this sense of team and still give people flexibility, because we can tap in talents all over the world and get a lot of things from remote that we can't get on. So it's figuring out and balancing the benefits of both, and that is a hard dilemma. It's going to be difficult for us to take on and challenge. I think we have another comment in the back.
Yes, you do. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carmelita Topaha. I'm the adjunct faculty for Indigenous Pottery. I just want to voice out or give a shout out. When you talk about culture, in my setting of my frame of mind, it's a totally different connotation. I know you're speaking of culture as far as a group, a college setting, a higher institution. But when you say culture to me, I think of who I am, and where I'm going. And I recently spoke about the college receiving a grant from Evergreen State College. We will be bringing master artists, native master artists, and their apprentices on this campus. And I would like to extend, how do you say it, an enlightenment for each and everybody on this college. If you see them on campus, please bring them and welcome them to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, because each one of us has our own culture, who we are, what's important to us, and how we were raised. And we bring that into this large, complex environment. And so having that appreciation and transparency and honesty, that's the only way, and respect for the individuals in this group, can we move forward. So it's a very important comment, and thanks for that.
Hi, I'm Debbie Collins. I'm the interim director at the Small Business Development Center. And I'm just kind of sensing this struggle, at least this is what's coming up for me, is I have a lot of work to do, and now I have more work to do. And I think the struggle, the push-pull between staffing issues and wanting to dive in and help is going to be an issue for a long time. It's hard to recruit employees. It's hard to recruit employees in the outside world. But that's going to be the challenge, to see if people will get engaged.
So I'm going to give you permission to not do some things.
Yay!
No, I mean, go back to the frictionless service. I bet you guys are doing some things you don't need to be doing. That maybe isn't important, and maybe the outcome isn't necessary, and it isn't driving to some of those strategic goals. It isn't really contributing to student success or enrollment. You gotta sort and decide. I mean, we heard a lot of busy, busy, but you sit down with your supervisor and say, here's the 1,000 things on my list. What are the 3 that matter the most? Empower yourself to think about that. And I'm giving you permission not to do things. Now, I might get in trouble later for saying that. But that is the... Right, you gotta take away. And don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, this is a bunch of stuff that is a waste of my time. And also, when you bring that up with your supervisor, it brings to light all of these things that are the friction that are getting in the way of you being effective in your role. So take charge of that and own that and have that dialogue with your supervisor and figure out the way to make your work manageable so you have some balance in your life, but yet what your contribution is really contributing to the success of the college and to your students. So amen to that.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to invite you all to join our ice cream social this afternoon out in the courtyard. Let's get together and just celebrate each other and the start of a new semester.
Yes. Who doesn't love ice cream? Thank you. All right, so, oh, good.
So I'm Christy, I'm with nursing. I just want to kind of like, I guess, emphasize what everybody said. I'm with Tony. I am involved in a lot of things. I do negotiations, union, faculty senate. I went to the task force group because it was Jerry saying we need volunteers, and I kind of stepped back to let other people come forward. I love your comment on culture. I love it. I love it. So I just think we have to look in our hearts, and whatever your heart is, whether it's whatever really drives you to really come forward, I think we do need a lot of change. I will say everything on that list impacts me. I work multiple jobs, which you know, Margaret, right? And I keep informed based on the union charter, right? But those all do impact us. Do we have friction? Sure. I did the Indian School Nursing Aid Program. There was friction there, and I tried to help solve that. But what we do comes from our heart.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Yash Morimoto. I am the VP for Strategy and Organizational Effectiveness, and HR and Office of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness reports to me. I just want to thank everybody for their honest feedback. I know that's sometimes difficult. And so what I want to share with you is you have my commitment and my team's commitment that we're going to take the feedback you've given us and try to improve things. I'm hoping that I could come to Staff Senate and Faculty Senate to ask for some volunteers to work with us to try to improve the process. So I just want to invite you to sort of join in and help us make the college better. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Eileen Villalobos. I am the office coordinator for Palms and Operations, and I am also a student. I know a lot of the topics weren't touched about students, but I, as a bilingual and having Mexican heritage, yes, I feel the support from Santa Fe Community College because there is like a lot of scholarships for it. But when I was going to UNM, there was this center called La Raza. And it was really supportive to the Mexican community because a lot of DACA recipients, including myself, cannot go to TRIO. There's a lot of things that we can't get federally, but we can get state. And La Raza had a lot of opportunities for DACA recipients and a lot of like bilingual people. Yeah. So if we could kind of adapt to that or adopt it in some way, that would be awesome because especially here in New Mexico, there's a lot of bilingual people and I feel that we don't get as much support as we should. And I feel that would be more students on campus, having that tutoring center for them and having that support.
Thanks so much for sharing that student perspective.
Thank you for that. And also, I've heard you are rocking facilities and operations, so nice job.
When you're done.
Got a couple more comments, and then we're going to wrap up.
I'm going to let my boss speak.
Thanks, Laura. I do want to acknowledge Laura's work in coordinating these sessions. Thank you so much, Laura. And thanks for your time coming to the campus. I don't want to, ruin this wonderful process of self-exploration and critique with some kind of Pollyanna information, but that is my job as the marketing director. Fall enrollment is... We're up, the latest I saw it, we're up 8%, somewhere in 10%.
Evidence.
We are trending in the right direction. We're doing great work there. So also keep up the good work as we acknowledge these things. Another stat, this is from the New Mexico Higher Education Department. We're the second state, New Mexico, we've experienced the second highest enrollment growth in the nation. So we are having struggles, but so are other colleges. Remember, this is in the context of higher education at community colleges in the country, and we're all trying to do the best we can to figure this out. Just today, wallethub.com, I don't really know what that is, but they ranked us the 12th best community college in the nation, according to Pool. Yep, applause. And that was, they were drawing from 668 other colleges from the American Association of Community Colleges. So we can all celebrate those things, and thanks again.
Woohoo! And I think celebrating your success is a very critical part. You're working hard. You should see how your good work is really coming to fruition.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Elias, and I'm the Student Involvement Coordinator in the Office of Student Engagement and Recruitment. And as I was looking at some of the stats there, they were talking about more student activities, because that's basically what my job is, events, student government clubs, all that extracurricular stuff. And we do have some events on campus, and we'd like for us to be able to do more, and I'm getting more. I just want to say that we have 8 student ambassadors. That's the most we've had in a while. So if you see them, please congratulate them, because they're awesome leaders on campus, and they're learning quickly, so hopefully we can have more activities and events on campus. As most of you know, that our events are all sponsored through student fees. And so as we move forward, that's where our funding comes from. And we do have cultural events, and we do some other stuff. We're going to be trying to do more targeted for student engagement. What I'm asking is, when we had the last event, which was Pride and Juneteenth, we had 189 people come out, and 60% of that was staff and faculty. Okay? And a lot of the faculty that came out and the staff, what I'm asking is if you can please let your students give them the flyer, give them a notice, tell them to come out. Maybe you give them extra credit, especially if it's a cultural event, as a extra credit or something. Have them come out and be engaged. That's what we're here for, is to engage that student, to get them off that midterm test and let them come and have a slice of pizza or some popcorn or something. Please encourage your students to come out for events. I will be reaching out and working very closely with Jared to get those flyers out, so hopefully you can pass it on to the students. I'm really asking for some help and assistance to get our students more engaged. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. Mary and I would personally like to thank all of you for participating and being and trusting us with your thoughts and your concerns, and really know that the college leadership has taken this very seriously, and frankly, it took a lot of courage for them to open this all up like this. So this is a really positive sign, and it only points to the positive. So thank you for opening your doors and sharing with us. And also, so what's going to happen next? The documents that we've created are opening slides, the scanned feedback. This summary report will all be shared with Laura early next week, and she'll share them out with you so that you can see them and kind of comb through some of the details and kind of go back and process this a little bit. And then you'll hear more about this task force that's going to come together in the future and kind of get some of this started. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rowling and let her close with some comments.
Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to thank Mary and Diane for all that they've done with us and for us for the past few days. And again, I want to thank all of you for not only your time in this is a busy time of the semester for everybody, so it's not nothing to show up and to do all of this and to work all of that out and make sure that students are still getting what they need. So thank you for that. And then thank you for coming and being as open and honest as you can when you get here. As Diane said, it does take a fair amount of courage to do this on all sides, just to have these conversations, which, there's no point in doing this if I thought you were just going to come and hear nothing but fantastic things and there's nothing we need to work on and everything is great. Then I would say we didn't get our money's worth, but I feel like we have. So just to let you know, too, we will be continuing our relationship with Mary and Diane through Interact to help guide us through some of the issues that have been identified that are not just simple, oh, well, we need to, change how we access something. Those are easy fixes. We'll do those things as quickly as possible. But there's some ongoing work here that needs to happen, and so we want to have this done as well as we can. But thank you for the honesty of your answers and for being willing to share. I can assure you that I have no idea who said what except today when you said it in front of everybody. But other than that, I have no idea. And neither does anybody else unless you were sitting in the room when those conversations took place, and that was by design. So again, thank you for everything. I hope that everybody has a great semester, and I will see all of you around very soon. Thanks.